Hello, my name is Saúl Peña Gamero, and this is my video presentation for my app, BuddyChallenge. Now, I will run my app, show you the main features of it, explain you what the purpose of those are, and I will also show you the code. Now, to start my app, I'll click here on the to open it. I'll choose this emulator, click OK. And now let's give it some time for it to load and open the app. Now that's the emulator opening. It still needs some more time to finally boot. That's normal. It's just increasing the partitioning size from 50 to 1000. That's fine. While the app loads, I just want to show you that here on the left, these are the files, and these are my files, and under here are the layout files. I'm also gonna be making this video combined. It's recording backup. It's probably because of that. Now, before I start showing you the application itself, I need to show you something else inside of the emulator. So here the emulator finally load the application. This is my application, BuddyChallenge. But before that, let me go back and open the gallery. There is no data for the app itself in the application yet, in the phone, but I've taken some pictures and saved them in the gallery. These pictures are taken using the emulator from the camera. So I've taken those 4 pictures. This is the emulator for the camera. And I need those pictures in order to show you some of the features of my app. Now the first thing that we're gonna do is create an account. I will pause the recording now and come back in a second. Now, in order to show you how the application works, I will create several fake accounts. I'm asking here for a name, which is the real name, a username, which for simplicity's sake, I'm gonna use Saul1. And the password, for simplicity, is gonna be the same as the username. So I'm gonna sign up. Once you click sign up, a small message shows up saying that you already created a username, which is fine. If I try to sign up again by clicking again, I'll see a different message saying the username is already in use. I don't allow multiple users to sign up using the same username. The username has to be unique. Also, the password, even if I change the username, here the passwords are different. So I'm gonna click on sign up, and it's not gonna allow me to do it because the passwords are different. The passwords need to match. Also, even if so what I just did, I just made the passwords the same. It's a new username, but I also have an empty field. Now if I try to sign up, it would also tell me that I need to fill up all the fields. So that's what I'll do. It's my middle name. So I'm gonna make 2 more users, Saul 3 and Saul 4. And then I'll proceed to show you the rest of the application. Now, I don't have a security feature like asking to confirm through an email, so a user can make multiple accounts as of now. Sign up. So now that we have 4 accounts, I'm gonna click on login to go back to the previous page. Now here we can type the username and the password. Now the password is the same as the username, so I can type something that is wrong, and if I try to log in, it'll recognize that the password is wrong. I can also type a username that is not real, that is not being used in the database. Click on login, and it will tell me the same message. The code corresponding to this part in the layout department, I use sign up XML here. These are all the components on the right. I'm gonna go a little bit slow for the video to catch up. And that's sign up, and then I just name it activity main. This is the login. Code wise, for login, this is my code. I have a button here for the login. This is the on button click event. Here is recognizing this is the ID for the login button. So first it's gonna take, it's gonna read the input on the edit test from the username and the password and save it in these 2 variables, A and B. Then it's gonna compare, it's gonna look to the database that I made to see if there is a username already with that name. How it does, I have a method that looks for the password of a user, and if the user is there, it's gonna pull out their password, and if the user is not there, it's gonna pull out a different message, a string. Now, in this case, it's gonna read in the username and look and see there is a password related to the username in the database. If it finds something, that means the username isn't the database. And then it's gonna compare here the password that it retrieves with the password that the user is trying to put. This if statement is checking if the inputs are empty. This is the method. The helper is the database helper that I have. This is the method that looks up the password. And here is comparing them and see if they are the same. If they are the same, then it logs in for that user. The sign up one, it's very similar. I have if statements to check if all the fields are empty. I have an if statement to check if the username is already in use, if it returns a password other than the default message, that is this one, I made it up. So if the user is not found, it's going to return this. If that's the case, that means the user is not in the database, so the user is allowed to create that account. Then it's going to create a user object. I have a user class here with all the fields for the user. I'm going to create a user object and insert it into the database. I'll go over the database briefly in a little bit. And this is the Java class for the user. The user has these fields. The user has an ID. The user has an integer called challenge points, which I'll go over the purpose of that in a second. It also has the name, the email, the password, and their username. and the methods for setting those values and to getting those values back. So now we're gonna log in into the app. Login. And this is the main app. I'm gonna pause the recording for now and come back in a second. Now we have successfully logged in. I'm just gonna go once more over the code for the sign up. This is in line. The method for the on-click event is on line 23. It starts there. First, I just check if it's the correct button that is being pressed. Then I get all the fields, all the text from the fields, and this if statement is just checking if they are empty in line 39. On line 44, I check if the two passwords are the same. If any of those cases are true, I show up a message and I stop there. Then on line 51, I use a helper to see if the user is already there. What it does is what the method does, I give it a username and it looks through a database of users. If it finds a user, it will retrieve its password. If it doesn't find the user, it will retrieve this string. Now, ideally, this should be more complex key, but for the simplicity of this app, I just have it be simple. If the password is something different, if the password retrieves this, that means the user is not in the database. So it creates a new user, and it inputs the data from the fields. Then it uses this method in line 63 to insert it into the database. It shows the congratulatory message saying that you successfully created a user, and then it ends. The other button just starts the login activity. It goes to the other page. This is the class with all the fields of the user, which I already shown a minute ago. But this is the Java file for the database. It's called database helper, and it extends SQLite Open Helper. The name of the database is BuddyChallenge. And here are the strings that I use to create the first table, which is the user table. It is in line 23. These are all the columns for the user table. Here I'm making an instance of the SQLite database. And this string table create users on line 31. It has the SQL to create a table with those corresponding columns. Here are the tables here are the strings for columns and SQL for other tables, which I'll go over later. But here is where in line 88 is the line that is used to create the table users, which is right now where the information of this user is being stored. Here in this app, I implement tab host, which creates multiple tabs where I'm displaying different information. The first tab is called Your Info, which it has the information for the user. It has the username, the real name, the email, and the challenge points the current user has. Now in the display, I can show you these are the 4 main tabs that you see on top. These 4 tabs here are these four, and this is the tab that we're looking in right now. It only has these fields, and what the in the display Java file, that's where I get all the information. Let's go to the top of the file. These are just the imports. These are other variables that I'll explain later. So pretty much what I do here, I just after putting the tabs in the display in the XML, I have to code them here. These are all the tabs, and here I get the information. These text views are these ones here, and what I do is I got the username from the login before, so what I did is in line, one second, here in line 66 I used a method called get contact by username from the database helper Java file, and I get the contact that I store in the database and put it in user info C. After I do that, I can easily retrieve all the data, all the fields from that contact. So that's what I do. I get the challenge points, I get the email, the name, everything from that field. And this variable user info C, I'm gonna be using it throughout the Java file anytime I want to get information from the user that is currently logged in. If I log in as a different user, it will collect the information from a different user depending on what username is used to log in. But the first tab is pretty simple. The second tab, it has a list of all the users. It has Saul 1, Saul 2, 3 and 4, and it displays all the points that I have, as well as their email. Tab number 3 has three subtabs, as well as tab number 4, which has also 3 subtabs. The first tab is used to send challenge to a different user. I'm gonna give a brief overview of all the tabs, and then I'll show you the code, and then I'll show you how it works. This tab allows you to send challenges to a different user. Here you would type the name of the user you want to send a challenge to, how many points you're willing to offer, let's say 20, and then the description of the challenge. It's on my screen. After you have all those fields completed, you click on send challenge and it will send it. Once you do that, you will lose the 20 points because that's the cost of sending a challenge. You will lose how many points you're offering. So in this case, I'm sending a challenge here, and if I go to my info back, now you have 20 points less. If I go to this second tab, previously I didn't have anything, but now I have this. This is another list where you will see all the challenges that you're sending to other users. So this is a challenge that I'm sending to Saul 2. It's 20 points, worth 20 points. This is the description of the challenge that I gave, and this is the status. Right now the status is that it's being sent. If I were to receive any challenges, they will appear here, and the final tab is to deal and answer those challenges. And finally, this is to review them. But let's go back to the user list. What I do here, I already have a table with all the users being stored in the database. So what I do here, I have a list that takes in all of the users and displays them. How does this work? Well, first I have to create a list view object and an array list of users where I'm gonna be storing temporarily all of the users. Then, way down here, I have this class inside of the display class called in line 216 called contact list adapter. This is gonna be working with the array list that I made and also with this user list XML class file. Let me show you. It's very simple. It only has three fields, 3 text views, and these are the keys, IDs. Go back to display. So it will get the array list of users and it's gonna go through all of them and get the information from the users. For example, the current user, which is the user that the method is looking at the moment, is gonna get the username, the challenge points, and their email, and store those in those fields. This is in line 216. But for this to work, I have to fill out the array first. So in this method 176 add contact array list, which in line 178 I clear the array and then I use a method from the database helper called get all users to get an array list back of all the users that are currently in the database. And then I add those to my users. Then I use an adapter here in line 159, and then I give that adapter to the to the list view. The list view is set up here in line 72. In the display XML, I have a list view object here, and that list view that in the Java file is linked to here to this list view. So to summarize, I link the list view from the display from the XML here. I ask the database to get a list of all the users. I give that to the list view, and then I give that to the contact list adapter in line 218, which is gonna feed all of the fields with the correct information. If I go to the database helper, after creating the tables, I have several methods to retrieve useful information. The method in question here is one second. Delete user, find user. Oh, here it is. In line 295 is a method to get all of the users. So I use a cursor using a row query. This is pretty neat because you can just type in SQL code. There are two ways to do this. This is just one of them. The other methods use a different one. But after you make the cursor works very similar to the one in SQL. In normal SQL, is similar to a for loop, which is gonna do this query to the database. Once it gets that table of users, the cursor is like a for loop. It's gonna go through all of them, and once I see all the users, I'm gonna insert them into this user array list here. In line 312, and I return that array list. So this is the list of users. Now I'm gonna pause this for a second and I'll come back. Like I mentioned before, this tab is used to send challenges to other users. So I'm gonna send another challenge to Saul too. Now, it also checks if you put too many points. It's gonna tell you don't have enough points to spend all that. Send challenge. So the information for Saul here gets updated, and also here. The code for this section can be found here. As under here. Here, on line 631, it's gonna get information from the three fields here. It's gonna make sure you have enough points. It's gonna check that you are at least putting in 5 points, because 5 points is the minimum to send for a challenge. Then it's gonna make sure that you don't send challenges to yourself. Like right now, I am logged in as Saul1. So if I try to send a challenge to myself, well, first it's gonna tell me I don't have enough points, but now it says you cannot send challenges to yourself, so you cannot cheat that way. Now it's gonna check that the user that you're trying to send the challenge to actually exists. Like Saul66 doesn't exist in the database. So it's gonna tell you the user does not exist. Finally, once you meet all the requirements, it's gonna create a challenge object. It's gonna fill in all the information for the challenge object, and then it's gonna store it into the database. After that, it's gonna update the points of the user. It's gonna use update user method in line 678 to get the user update his challenge points. And the method to insert the challenge into the database is in line 674, insert challenge. So here it's going to show you a message at the end. Here is the Java file with the fields for the challenge class. It has the ID of the challenge points. It has this is the field. These fields are for the users 1 and 2 IDs. These are foreign keys in SQL terms. This is the ID of the user who is sending the challenge, and this is the ID of the user who is receiving the challenge. And these are just the methods to get them and receive them. This is the status of the challenge, and then the description of the challenge. When you send a challenge, it's gonna be given the description sent in the database. And very similar to the users table, we have the challenges table here. These are all the columns, and this is the SQL code to create said table. The table challenges is in line 41 in the database helper.java, and you also execute that SQL code to create that table. And similar to users, you also have a method to insert challenges into the database. You just take a challenges object, put in the data in a content values object, and then insert that into the database. So now to show you how this does, again, this is the list of all the fields. I'm sorry. It's a list of all the challenges you've sent. So it tells you who you send the challenge to, and this is the description of all of the description of the challenge, how many points it's worth, the description, and the status. Now I'm gonna leave here, and I'm gonna log in as the other user, as Saul2. Why? So I can show you the other tab feature. So I'm gonna log in as Saul2. This is the information of Saul2. As you can see, the information is different, and this user has his 200 points in TAT. These are again the users. You can see that Saul1 has 50 points because he's been sending challenges. Here you can also send challenges to other users. This user hasn't sent any challenges to any other user yet. But here in this tab, you have a list that has all the challenges received by this user. So in total, this user has received 3 challenges, all about eating ice cream from Saul1. So this user has received 3 challenges. And also, each object in the list has 2 buttons, to accept or reject a challenge. If you reject a challenge, the user who sent the challenge gets reimbursed, gets their points back. If you accept the challenge is gonna disappear from this list, and you're gonna be able to actually try to do said challenge. I'm gonna accept this challenge, accept this one, and then reject this last one. So Saul1, who has right now 50 points, should get a reimbursement of 20 points. So reject. You have rejected this challenge at the bottom, and now Saul1 has 70 points. How does this work? Since it's a list, it works in a similar way to the sent and the users list. Let me go very briefly. These are here. Receive challenges view. This is the list view, and this is an array list of challenges. There is something different about this list from the others. The difference is that each object in this list has 2 buttons, which each has an on-click action. Here, This is the class receive challenge list adapter in line 272. Similar as before, it's gonna take in the array list of challenges, and it's gonna connect to the class here to the XML. So this is the simple format for the three fields with the information about the challenge and the accept and reject button. It's gonna loop through all of the challenges. It's gonna get information, and then each button here has an on-click listener events. The B one is the upset one. So what the first thing it does, it changes the status of the challenge to accepted. So it's no longer sent, now it's accepted. The status of a challenge helps the database to identify in which what is the current situation of that challenge and whether it should include or not in some lists. It updates that challenge and it displays the message. If you reject it, it would change the status to rejected, and we'd also update the challenge. And here, this code at the bottom here is for the reimbursements. It would get the points of the challenge and the current points of the user who sent it and update his points. Now let me show you an example of why status is important. Here in this method, the add content array list, the method that I use to get the the received challenges is this: 5 received challenges. What this method does, it takes in an ID of a user and it looks through all of the challenges in the database, and it sees if, remember how I mentioned that user2, the column user2 is for the users who received the challenge? It compares the ID that you take with that column, but it also checks the status. I'll show you in here. So it selects from the table where the user2 is the same as the user ID that you take in, but also the status has to be sent. If the status is anything else, it's not going to include it in the list. That's why whenever I accept or reject the challenge, it disappears from the list, because the status has changed and now it's either accepted or rejected. I'm going to pause for a second here. Now, we finally accepted and rejected some of the challenges sent by Saul 1. Remember that we're currently in Saul 2. So the fourth tab is the tab where you do and review challenges. Now, in this part is where I implement the use of the camera. These two tabs here, the all challenges and the specific challenges, are where you can fulfill the requirements for the challenge and then submit them. In the tab all challenges, you have a list. Similar to before, we do an SQL query to get all the challenges. In this case, the challenges that the user received that have been accepted. And in the case for Saul 2, he has 2 challenges that he has accepted. The first one, here you can see the data he's received from Saul 1. Here we can see the challenge ID. Every challenge user gets an ID whenever it's inserted into the table. So this is a unique ID for this challenge. In this case it's 2. The challenge points, how many points it's worth, and the description. Then you see a field where you can type some text describing how you perform that challenge. And then you have two buttons, one for submit and another one to take a picture. If you click on the take a picture button, the camera will appear. This is the emulator for the camera. So if it was a real camera, it would be the real one. So you can take a picture. Click OK. And the picture ideally would be saved there. Now, because all of those buttons are inside of a list, this is the only part of the program where I've been having some trouble with. There's also the function where you can click on the picture itself. It would open up the gallery. This is where we see the pictures that I took beforehand when before I opened the app. So I can choose a picture, and ideally it will replace one of these. Now, this is not working right now here because it's inside of a list. So I've been having some trouble with the position. For example, here it's not showing up, but I would have 5 challenges at the same time in the list, and I would change the picture on the first one, and it would change the one in the 3rd position or the 5th position. That problem is solved by the second tab. Here you can do both actions. You can take a picture from your camera, and you can also click here manually to pick up a picture from your gallery. Because this is no longer on a list and is by itself, the code works properly and there is no mismatching with the position. The picture here is a default position that if you don't click on anything, it will send this position. It would get the bitmap of the image and store that into the database in a new table. Because currently the challenge table doesn't have a column to store a bitmap, so I made a new table specifically for the challenges that are being submitted. For the second tab to work, you just need to take a look at the challenge you want to perform, see the ID. In this case I want to do the one for ID 2, and give a small explanation. I went to the store, and now let's take a picture. Let's open up the camera. Now in real life you could be at the store buying your ice cream at that very moment, so this is where you would take a picture of you eating some ice cream. Now the picture that you took with the camera is here. You click submit. It will be sent for review. What does that mean? Remember that we are now in user 2, and user 1 is the one who sent the challenge. So here in this tab, this is where the challenges that you sent and that other people have done will appear. So after I send the other challenge, we're gonna change back to user 1, Saul 1, to see how this tab works. So now, if we go back to all challenges, challenge with the ID 2 is gone, it's no longer here, because we already did it. Now let's do 3. By the way, this works as well, it works the same. You can just type your description here for the challenge in particular and submit it. The only error it has is with the image, because it's inside of a list. So I'll just give it a different description. But now, instead of taking a picture, let's pick another picture from our gallery. So in real life, let's say you ate your ice cream, but that was 5 minutes ago, and you don't have your ice cream anymore because you already ate it, but you took a picture of it beforehand. So let's say this is the picture of you eating your ice cream. You took the picture and you click on submit. This will be sent for review. we go back to the previous tab, it's no longer here. Now let's remember that we currently have 200 points in the account for Saul 2. Now let's go back. And now let's sign in as Saul 1. Login. Now, this information for Saul 1. This is the reminder of the challenges that we've sent so far. This one, and these are the status for each one. The two that the use Saul 2, the second user completed, right now have the status of pending review, which means that they are waiting for this user to take a look at them and review them. And this challenge here has been rejected. And the user already got reimbursed for his 20 points. Now, he doesn't have any challenges for him to do, but if we go to review challenges, we can see the challenges that the user Saul 2 completed. So now he can see, he sent this to Saul 2, it was worth 100 points, this was the description that he gave for the challenge, and this is the description that Saul 2 wrote whenever he submitted the challenge back. So now the user would take a look at this, read the description, take a look at the picture and see, did Saul 2 actually fulfill my challenge? Did he actually went to the ice cream shop? Okay, I'll believe him, so I'm gonna click accept. I accept that you completed this challenge. And there is a message. The challenge is over, you both will receive a reward. What does this mean? If we go to users list, we can see that Saul has gained 5 more points. Every time somebody completes one of your challenges, I award them with 5 points. And Saul 2 has earned the points that he was promised. Now this other challenge. Yeah, I believe he went to the store, so let's click accept. And Saul earned his points again. Sorry for the pause. I just realized there was a small typo in one of my lines of code, which caused a slight error. Just found it here. I mistyped these 2 letters. It was get ID when it should have been get CHID. That's why whenever I accepted the review, it accepted the wrong review because I gave in the wrong ID. But I fixed the problem. And to show you, I'm gonna do another quick demonstration to show you that it works right now. Now, I'm gonna do another example. In this case, I'm gonna be signing as Saul 2, and I'm gonna send some challenges to the user Saul 3. This is gonna be worth 15 points. Do something. And change another challenge to the same person. Another one for 150 points. So we can see here that we have sent 4 challenges, 3 of those to Saul 3. We're gonna send one more to him. Oh, I don't have enough points for that. I have how many points? 31. So I'm gonna send him, use all of my points available. So now he has all of those challenges. Now let me log in as Saul 3 to actually do those challenges. I'm gonna accept all of them. In the tab of challenge receive, now I go to the do review, and I see that the IDs for the challenges are 4, 5, 6, and 8. So the first one is gonna be 4. I'm gonna type something, and I'm not gonna put any picture. I'm just gonna leave it as the default. So you should take this picture of this Pokemon and store it in the database, and then send it to the other user. So submit. Now let's do challenge 5. We're gonna take a picture from our gallery and submit it. Now let's do 6. Now let's take a picture. We took a picture, something, 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 and let's submit this. Now something else that I should test, well I already did, I know what's gonna happen, is what if you try to submit a challenge that you don't have? Like challenge ID 10 is not for you, maybe somebody else has that challenge assigned to them. So when you try to do this, it's not gonna do anything. Nothing is gonna happen. So it won't let you do a challenge that is not for you. So finally, challenge 8. And let's pick another picture. Submit. So now let's go to Saul 2 to review those pictures. Currently we have 0 points, and Saul 3 has 200 points. So we go to review challenges. Now we can see all of the challenges in the opposite order that they were sent. The challenge was sent first, so this is down at the bottom. And we can see that it took the default picture, saved the bitmaps, and then send it back. So I'm gonna accept this picture, this challenge. We can see we can see all of the challenges that we've sent so far. The ones that are pending review are the ones that are here waiting for me to review them. The ones that are sent, we sent this to Saul 4. He hasn't looked at it yet, so it's in sent status. And the last one that we just completed is in the status of completed. So that one is done for. So let's accept this one. Let's reject it. If we click on reject, what we're saying is, I don't believe that you did that action, or your picture doesn't really prove that you fulfilled that task. So I'm gonna reject this. So that's basically what the app does. Now I wanna show you the code and how it works. I had some trouble using the camera before because playing around with the URI of the picture and saving that as a string. I will show you. I made a new database here. Here are all the fields for that database. This is specifically not database, table, my bad. This table specifically has an ID for each challenge that is being submitted. the idea of the challenge that is referring to. So this is a foreign key. The text of that challenge, the picture URI, the URI of that picture. This is what I tried to use at first, but it didn't work out. It worked out from the gallery, but I was getting problems retrieving that from the database. But I found a solution for that. This is the status of the challenge, and these are foreign keys for the user 1 and user 2. User 1 being who sent the challenge, and user 2 being who received the challenge. All of this is in challenge done.java. And the last field is a byte array, and that's where we actually store the information from the image. And all of those methods here are just to set and to get all those fields. So let's take a look at the database. These are the columns for the table 3, which is called challenge done. All the fields are regular integers or tests. The only one that is different is the one for the bit array, is a blob. It's a new data type for me. I haven't used it before, but it allows you to store bit arrays, which came pretty handy. Now the methods for retrieving the information here is very similar to the others. It's just the same methods over again, just with different tables, different columns. What I want to show you is the main code of this whole application is in the display.java file. So as you saw before, in this tab you can see a list of all of the challenges, and it has 2 pictures. So it works very similar to the do challenge, but without the problem of having to store pictures that we had before. Sorry. This is the method that we use for review the challenges. First, we made a class called review challenges list adapter that extends an array adapter, similar to the ones that we had for all the other lists. We got the information from an array list of challenges that were in the new table called challenges done, and we were reading from that array list and filling in all of the information for all the test views. This is the XML for the no, it's not. It's this one here, review challenge. So it has 4 test views, the 2 buttons, and the picture. So it goes through all of the challenges done on the array list, fills in the data, and the interesting part that was different was on here. I read the byte array, I turned it into a bitmap, and then I set the bitmap to the picture. That allowed me to display the picture that was saved in the database to the other user. That way the user can review if the picture was satisfactory or not. The on-click listeners here are for the buttons, which is similar to the ones before. It's nothing new. Just reading the variables, having some if statements to check if those variables are correct. If I need to update some values in the database, I create an object of a value, or get the object from the database. Use the set methods to change its values. Like for example, current challenge is the current challenge done that we're looking at right now. So I'm changing the status of it to complete. By the way, this is all in This whole class starts in line 423. I modified the values of the challenges, and then I update the database, and then I update all the array lists with database. That way all the lists are updated. So that is how accepting challenges work. So overall, my app allows users to create an account, send challenges to other users through a database, SQLite database. It allows the users to take pictures and use their camera, and also access their gallery to put pictures into the database. Currently, this is a local database. Everything is stored in the app, which for an application that tries to use multiplayer interactivity, multiple users interacting with the app is not ideal. Ideally, this should be a server with the database online, where the app's connected to the database. But due to time constraints, I didn't include that. And it was also a lot simpler and easier to have a local database to work with SQL. But I can see this working very well with an online database. Another feature that was originally put in my proposal was video recording. I didn't include video recording in my app, also due to time constraints, but I was able to access the camera, so I think with more time I should be able to include video recording eventually. Another feature that I was originally thinking about adding was a friend list. At the end of the day, I thought that wasn't really necessary. It is pretty possible to just make another table for the database, add a button here in the list of users that adds a friend to the favorite list, and I could add an inner tab in here, like regular users and friends, and show all the friends that you have selected to be favorite users. Other than that, I include everything else that was on my proposal. Oh, another thing that it didn't end up adding to my proposal was the email option. I don't have, whenever a user creates an account, the application should email them back. That way they have an email where they have to click on a link to corroborate their email. That way a user cannot easily create multiple accounts. That's something that's also missing from this app, which I think should be added in the future if there were more time to develop this app. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the results of this project, and that's all for now. Thank you.